So we have seen the general pumping system. Okay. So in this diagram, we have seen the pressure is raised from point C to D. Okay. Point C is inlet point and D is outlet point. And the pressure increment from C to D is obtained by supplying work. Okay. By the electric motor. Now we have also seen total energy at point C and total energy at point D, that is inlet and outlet, and the difference between this energy is nothing but the work supplied by the motor or the pressure which is to be raised. Okay, now we have seen that this HM is the head which we have to develop, okay, across the motor to overcome the static head. Okay, so HM is also called as a manometric head, which is nothing but we have seen P2 minus P1 by rho g. So P2 minus P1 by rho g is the pressure to be developed or pressure difference to be developed to overcome the static head and the losses associated with it. So let us see in detail the expression for this P2 minus P1 upon rho g. Now if you apply the Bernoulli's equation between point A and C, if you see this is the point A and C, if you apply Bernoulli's equation, the pressure at point A is a you can say atmospheric pressure, and the level of point C from datum level, it is Z1. Okay, it is Z1. So if you see this is between point A, the 0 plus 0, that is datum level and kinetic energy and the pressure, that is atmospheric pressure, so both are 0, plus HA, it is the datum level of points A. So HA is at a datum level of A is at a datum level of HA. So HA, so it is nothing but 0 plus 0 plus HA is equal to, at point C, if you see at point C the pressure is vacuum pressure, so it is P1 by rho g, plus the velocity, it is kinetic energy, is V1 square by 2g, plus Z1 is nothing but the datum height of point C, and apart from this there are losses also that we have to incorporate in Bernoulli's equation. So that is entrance loss and friction loss. So HA will be equal to P1 by rho g plus V1 square by 2g plus Z1 plus H entrance loss plus HF1 loss, that is friction loss. Similarly, if you apply Bernoulli's equation between point D and F, so this is point D and point F. So we have seen that pressure is raised at point D, so it is P2 by rho g is the pressure at point D. Okay, and at point F, okay, there is a, you can see you can say that is the atmospheric pressure at point F. So here if you see if you apply the Bernoulli's equation at point D and F, so at point D it is P2 by rho g plus velocity through the pipe is V2 square by 2g in the delivery pipe plus Z2 is the height, okay, at off point D, okay, datum level, which is equal to pressure is at point F, it is atmospheric, you can consider it is 0, plus kinetic energy also you can consider as a 0, okay, at point F, plus HS, okay, HS is nothing but that height, okay, of point, that is, this is a datum, okay, which you have to convert now cover. So datum is nothing but point F, if you see, okay, it is at a height of HA, that is HS plus HA, HS plus HA plus all the losses associated with it. Okay, so it is not point F, sorry, it is applied between point D and G, you can say. So here you can consider all the losses associated in the pipe. So it is HS plus HA plus HF2, that is friction loss, plus exit loss. This is the exit loss HE, which is V2 square by 2g. So it is if you see in this expression, okay, it is substituting HA from the above expression. If you substitute that in this expression, P2 by rho g plus V2 square by 2g plus Z2 is equal to HS plus P1 by rho g plus V1 square by 2g plus Z1 plus H in plus HF1 plus HF2 plus HE. Okay, now if you take P1 this side, so it will become P2 minus P1 by rho g, which is equal to HS plus, okay, V1 and V2 they will cancel, and we have also seen that Z1 and Z2, that Z2 minus Z1 is very much less than P2 minus P1, so it can be neglected. So Z1 Z2 is neglected. HS plus only it will be losses remaining, okay, HS plus H in plus HF1 plus HF2 plus H exit. Okay, so HM, we have seen HM is nothing but P2 minus P1 by rho g, that is the manometric head to be developed by the pump. So manometric head is equal to the sum of static head plus entrance loss plus friction loss through suction pipe plus friction loss through delivery pipe plus the exit loss. So HM is nothing but HS plus all the losses. Now the important point here is that HM, which is equal to HS plus all the losses, that is given by HM is equal to HS plus H in plus HF1 plus HF2 plus V2 square by 2G, which is the exit loss. Okay, so this formula, in this formula, HS is the static head. This static head is nothing but the physical height to be covered by the water. Okay, so this HS is nothing but, it is most of the times in the book it is given as sum of HS plus HD. So it is suction head plus delivery head. If you see in this diagram, this HS, okay, HS, which is the physical height to be covered. So this small HS is the height from this water level at suction side to the impeller inlet, or you can say center line of the pump, that is nothing but small HS, and from impeller center line to the outlet, that is nothing but, it is the physical height is HD. So this static head is also given by small HS plus small HD. So HS is nothing but, small HS is nothing but suction head and small HD is delivery head. So that's why HS, you remember, capital HS is also given by small HS plus small HD. So HM in general is given by a very famous formula, HS plus HD plus H loss at entrance plus HF1 plus HF2 plus V2 square by 2G. This is the formula used in almost all the numericals to be solved in centrifugal pump. So centrifugal pump numericals are based on this formula. Okay, so what is the output to be produced by the centrifugal pump, or what is the head to be produced by the pump? It is HM. Okay, and that is given by this formula. So in case of turbine, if you remember, in case of turbine, the input energy was water power, input power was water power, then there was a runner power. Okay, after water power there was runner power, and then after runner power there was shaft power, which was the output. Shaft power was the output there, but in case of pump the reverse phenomenon is there. Shaft power is the input, so there is a electric motor, to that there is a shaft, so shaft power is the input, then the runner power is replaced by impeller power here. Okay, so shaft power is maximum, then that shaft power is given to the impeller, and that is called as the impeller power. So impeller power is in between the input and output. So input is shaft power in case of centrifugal pump, impeller power is after shaft power, and after impeller power there is a, you can say, output power, that is nothing but your manometric head. Okay, manometric head, rho GQHM is the manometric power which is produced by the pump. So you remember, for pump the shaft power is the input power, then after shaft power the power is given to the impeller, that is called the impeller power, and after impeller power there is a manometric power, or you can say manometric head. So HM is the output for a pump. Okay, so head is the output for a pump, while head was the input for a turbine. Okay, similarly shaft power was the output for a turbine. Now shaft power is the input for a pump. So it is completely opposite. So it is very easy to remember the difference between turbine and pump. Whatever is the input to the turbine, that is the output for pump. So input for the turbine was water power, okay, or head, while the input for the pump is nothing but shaft power. So vice versa. So you will remember it easily. Okay, now let us see the construction and working of centrifugal pump. If you see in this diagram, okay, this is the suction side. Okay, there is a footwall and strainer. Okay, to avoid the you can say the clay particles to be coming inside the pipe, you are providing some strainer. Okay, and a footwall, that is the non-return wall. After that the water is coming to the impeller. Okay, this is the impeller. Okay, and before impeller there is a casing. Okay, means the water, when it enters into the impeller, after impeller there is a casing. When it enters to the impeller, then after impeller, when you are supplying the shaft power to the impeller, then there is a impeller power is producing some head, that is nothing but manometric head to be produced. okay, and that is the water is passed through the casing, and then after casing it is going to the delivery side. So now we'll see one by one the parts in detail. So first one is the impeller. The rotating part of the centrifugal pump is called as the impeller. Okay, it consists of series of backward curved vanes. Now we'll see what do you mean by backward and forward curved vanes. But mostly you remember the curved vanes used are backward curved vanes for the centrifugal pump. The impeller is mounted on the shaft, which is connected to the shaft of the electric motor. Then casing. Now we have seen the casing in case of Francis turbine also. The same function is there for casing. In that case, in case of Francis turbine or reaction turbine, the function of casing is to, that is the hydraulic function of casing is to decrease the pressure. Okay, that's why its shape was a spiral shape, okay, with decreasing cross section area. But now the function is opposite, hence the cross section area is increasing. So this we are using again the volute type of casing, which is nothing but a spiral type of casing as shown in this figure. So this is a spiral type of casing where area increases so that pressure increases. Okay, because area is directly proportional to pressure. So here our aim is to increase the pressure. That's why area goes on increasing at the outlet side. So there are three types of casing: volute casing, vortex casing, and casing with guide blades. Okay, now volute casing we have seen. What do you mean by vortex casing and casing with guide blades? In vortex casing you are providing a vortex chamber. Okay, there is no volute. Okay, instead of there is a chamber, vortex chamber is provided so that it will restrict the flow. So after restricting the flow, the pressure will build up. So that's why it is called as a vortex type of casing. Then there is a casing with guide blades. In casing with guide blades, okay, if you see there is only runner vanes. Okay, but in this case there is a guide vanes are also provided. Why? Because you are just simply guiding the water smoothly to the runner vanes, and in between these guide vanes the pressure is also pressure is not guiding to the runner. Sorry, here it is not guided to the runner vanes. The water is coming from the runner vanes to the guide vanes. Okay, it is reverse to that of the turbine, and when it enters into the guide vanes, its pressure increases in case of this casing with guide blades. So these are different types of casing that we have seen. Then suction pipe with footwall and strainer, we have already seen. A pipe whose one end is connected to the inlet of the pump and the other end tips into the water is in a sump. Sump is nothing but suction tank, is known as suction pipe. A footwall, which is a non-return wall or one-way type of wall, so that water will not re-enter into the tank. That's why it is called as a non-return wall, or check wall is fitted and at the lower end of the suction pipe, that is called as a footwall. And the strainer is fitted at the lower end of the suction pipe so that it will not allow the dust particles to enter into the pump. Then delivery pipe, we know it is joining the pump outlet to the delivery side of the pump. Okay, so this is the construction. Then the most important part of the centrifugal pump is the work done by the centrifugal pump. So if you remember, okay, the Euler's equation of motion, which is used, Euler's head or Euler's work is nothing but the work produced by the runner in case of a turbine. Okay, now here the work is done by the impeller, okay, on the water, is nothing but the impeller power, or it is also called as a work done by the impeller on the water. In case of turbine, it was the work done by the water on the runner, but in this case the work is done by the runner on the water or the impeller on the water, and that's why it is called as a impeller power. So everything is opposite and the formula remains same. Whatever is the input to the turbine, that is the output for pump, and whatever is the input for the pump, that is the output for turbine. That's why the complete velocity diagram is reversed for centrifugal pump. So centrifugal pump is a opposite in function to that of the Francis turbine. If you remember the Francis turbine, this was the outlet velocity triangle. Okay, while in this case this is the inlet velocity triangle. And the inlet velocity triangle for turbine, okay, Francis turbine was like this, but now in this case the inlet velocity triangle or the outlet velocity triangle is this. Okay, so this is completely opposite. So in this case there is a VW2, it was 0 for turbine, Francis turbine, but here it is inlet, that's why it is VW1 is 0. Okay, VW1 is 0 to get maximum output, output from the impeller, okay, to the water. Okay, so here again the formula is same, which is nothing but 1 by G VW1 U1 minus VW2 U2. So VW1 is 0 here, So the work output is given by VW2 U2 or rho Q into VW2 U2. This is the impeller power. Okay, so rest we'll see in the next lecture. Thank you.